I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey and this is day 5 of round 3 of the 2025 Carcassonne Champions League, where we'll be witnessing a Group A match between Guilherme of Portugal, who happens to be the reigning gold medalist of the Mind Sports Olympiad, and a French expert with the screen name Gat79Lux. I will still need to figure out how to call them a little bit quickly. So as you can see from the tournament table, both players have a win and a loss, and this means that a win in this game, or in this match rather, would mean a lot for their chances to qualify for the playoffs, because I need to remind you all that the top 3 from each group of 6 players qualify for the next round. So what are we having here? Okay, I'm gonna make a guess here that this is just a French lead spelling of gâteau. This would not be the first expert with a sweet screen name. Some of y'all might still remember the former British team member Ishan Malhotra with a screen name Oh Look Cake. So maybe that's just a French imitation of that. At least this is how I'm gonna call him. Alrighty, so of course patriotic blue meeples, just like the football players, and Guilherme with reds to match the flag. So good mood for the game. Currently, the player with the red meeples has the advantage on the scoreboard and 2 monasteries over here, but GAT with a safer position overall, because some of Guilherme's meeples are precariously placed, and he happens to have some interesting threats. So he has an extra meeple, which he now uses to start a new city. Guilherme scores 3 points to further his scoreboard lead, and here's a super sensitive square. Now we're probably going to see Gâteau finish a city over here. But then Guilherme is probably not too unhappy about that, because upon the completion of this city, there will be still 2 tiles remaining to fit into that square, which probably might make blue meeple that 3-point road for insurance. That actually makes a lot of sense. But it's not an obvious move necessarily. We can see how Guilherme starts his own city, and blue now can finish another city at the bottom. Blue has just retaken the lead on the scoreboard, and he probably is going to take some more. 21 points against Guilherme's 9, but he finishes an 8-point city off his own, making it 17, only -4 for red. But that meeple situation is not great. He really is looking forward to draw some tile over here, and something that he's looking forward to more is this exact tile. It would have been perfect over here, where his 2 meeples, 1 monastery meeple and 1 road meeple, are tied down to this square. So it might be the case that red will be forced to go over here and help blue's city just to get his 2 meeples back. But not yet. First, he would need to take care of this square, and he covers it up quite wisely. There was a threat of this square being permanently blocked. There actually was a threat of this square being permanently blocked with some extra damage, which I'll talk about later if we have time. In the meantime, blue drops a lovely farmer for 9 points, anticipating the completion of that city, so this farm could grow to 12 points, so much so that red doesn't even have motivation to complete this city necessarily. And so now there are 4 tiles that fit into this square, so likely that red will be able to draw it, and then red will be looking to go over here, get his monastery meeple back, and then red be cooking. So before that happens, the goal of the French player is try to inflict some damage. Maybe to use his temporary meeple majority to score a little bit. Of course, now we have meeple equality, but it's not quite the case because this road is pretty good. There's still 6 crossroads available that can not only finish this road for 5 points, give blue a meeple back, but also start putting a little bit of pressure on this square. Glovier with a double city cap, and here exactly we see why it is so difficult to play with a meeple minority, because he has only 1 meeple, so he can't afford to be meepling any of those city caps. So what he's thinking right now is where would be the least damaging place on the board to dump them. It's my second favorite place. I think the one at the top was slightly better. Well, there are some reasons for this. So first of all, if black takes this city cap over here, then this will create a platform to abuse this square a little bit, not something that red wants. In the meantime, red is getting blocked. Wait. No drawings visible. Okay, it sounds iffy. Yeah, I should have checked the chat a little bit sooner. So, drawings we'll fix in a second. Yeah, there we go. Right, hi Divalka, hi Andres, hi Dale, hi Sergey, hi Wise Maze. Yeah, I got just so enthralled with what's going in the game that I forgot a little bit about such important thing as a drawing. So we have a block over here against red, so that he's going to be trapped with 8 points for this monastery. Probably we're going to have another block over here. Although Glovier now tries to save this road. This is a double-edged move, because this road is not really going anywhere necessarily. Well, maybe if he gets a road monastery. Then I think I see his plan. So the plan is maybe to implement something that's called a pre-block. Those of you who have seen my video reviewing a 2021 World Team Carcassonne online championship game between Dan Chard and Kithara of Japan will probably be familiar with this pattern. So Glovier, wait, but I'm not sure what that is about. So I was thinking that he's going to place a straight line over here, and then he's going to plan get a road Dorito and try to get both of his meeples back whilst trapping blue's meeple at the same time. But I guess what he's going for is a similar idea. So he's now making it harder to block this square permanently, but he hopes to still get that Dorito tile and then later block that square. Actually, that is quite likely to occur because one of the splitters has gone out and there's only one triangle tile available for this square. There are a couple of cows, but what red could do later is go over here with the city capital. Isn't that interesting? Red drops his last meeple for a farm. I well, would be afraid, very, very afraid if I were red here, because I think blue can have himself this move, just dropping a farmer like this, and that would probably be game over. But yeah, I was actually thinking that we want to probably leave this field alone for a while. We want to work a little bit. We want to go over here, take this city cap, then block the square completely, then get the Dorito tile and so on. Yeah, none of that is going to fly, because a lovely farmer here by blue to equalize this farm in case red finds this dagger that fits into the square. There's still 2 tiles like this available. High V mappa. Yeah, do let me know if the sound became better or anything. Gatto with a city tile. The last remaining Dorito uses it to start a new city. Glovier, with not many options, chooses to score. Because what else are you gonna do? Road Monastery for blue. And he has a chance to really inflict some pain. So of course you could make a normal move like scoring 3 points over here, but a move which I think is stronger is going for 2 points over here. Exactly, he sees that idea. Yo, the French guy is playing very well. I was, until today, unfamiliar with this player, and given the fact that France has several experts and masters who are high rated, it was maybe even a slight surprise that they made it past the national qualifiers in the first place, but they did. And they're now playing really, really well. Glovier now trying to break the city a little bit, and look at this, it kind of works because the quadruple city tile has been discarded, which is probably not great news for Glovier, because with a quadruple city tile, blue would have been forced to break his own city, and now he just discards it and gets another go. Moreover, it's actually terrible news for Glovier because he was the starting player, and because of an odd number of tiles, because there's 71 tiles to be drawn in this game, he who goes first goes last. But this will now no longer be the case, since one tile was discarded. So Glovier no longer has the advantage that he's going to go last, and is going to have the perfect information on his last move, but also Blue's city is now much safer. Red, of course, is working towards breaking it. In the meantime, Blue managed to unify all the fields, which is exactly how you play a meeple majority. Now it is absolutely not in Red's interest to place a tile over here. Maybe that's actually Red's only chance, because at the moment, Red is not that far behind. Like, his monastery is scoring pretty well. There's 16 points. This 3-point city equals this 3-point road. And then this 2-point city of Blue is kind of inconsequential. The issue, of course, is catching up on the scoreboard, which he now is close to doing because he managed to successfully block this city. He now drew one of the 2 daggers that fit into this square. He just needs to draw the other one. And if he happens to draw the other one, he can drop it in his field, because then it would mean that this field will likely not be connected to this field. Not likely, but completely not connected to this field. Because you see this other dagger, the left-handed dagger that would fit into the square, it's non-existent. I mean, it is existent, just 3 of them are already on the board over here. So Glovier with a curve, probably looking to go here and add some green squares to his field, if there is a sufficient number of city caps to grow that field. Instead, he goes at the bottom, tries to create an invasion platform against Blue, which is not something I would have done. I really like the green squares here, and just off the bat, I see at least one vanilla city cap available, and a dagger, right? Well, we know the dagger, right? So then, as Red, we really need that extra square to try and drop a city cap, and then get the dagger, and then try to score those extra points for the field. Because the worst that can happen is that if Red draws a city cap right now, and he has no squares on his field to use that tile. But let's now try and figure out what else is going on here. Yeah, so first of all, great tile for Blue, who manages to make it much harder to invade his field, although saying it much harder, it's a bit of a stretch. There's a perfectly fine platform over here. And now a problem for Guilherme. He gets the dagger, which is great, so then he will not be losing this big field, but he has nowhere to use it productively. Well, there is one chance. What if we do like this, and then we hope for the last remaining umbrella? That could work. I mean, he could of course just start a new city like this and then meeple, but this is not what you want to do. You don't want to score 4 points. You want to score 7 points. Let's actually try and get a more exact point count. So this is a wash. Then this farmer is 12. This farmer 6. This farmer is 3. So 9 points for the field for blue. 9 points on the scoreboard for blue. 2 points for the city for blue. 16 points for monasteries for Guilherme. So actually Guilherme is only 4 points behind. So there are several ways how he can win. He can either score a little bit more, which by the way also shows the difference between scoring 4 points and scoring 7 points. If he scores just 4 points somewhere, then he ties the game and anything can happen. If he scores 7 points, that's pretty much a win because he's 3 points ahead. But blue is probably up to something nasty. A move that blue is considering is a move that protects his field. So if we go over here, that would solve all blue's problems. That would take out this attacking spot for the field. Oh, miss here by Guilherme, or is it? I thought he would do something else, but whatever. Yeah, and also what this move does, it takes out this platform and drops some more city cap in the field. Something that Guilherme could not have done because he's lacking green squares. Now 7 extra points for Gatto. And Guilherme with city cap himself, he scores, that's 1 point. And of course he will be looking to invade that field on his penultimate move. And now many ways for Gatto to win the game here, but he needs to be precise in the end game. I wonder if just scoring the points here is the way to go. Because if you simply score points, your opponent could go here and meeple a 12-point field and then even connect and get an even bigger field. But what I see Guilherme has done here, this actually is a smart move. It's not the one that would have played, but it might be even actually better. So he's hoping to get a straight line and a road Dorito tile. So this move was setting up a fields connection platform. And he's now going to go for it. So blue now tries to get himself another farm, actually, which is also very smart. So he's trying to simply prevent Guilherme using this straight line to meeple this 9-point farm, but he can still go for this move. And he still has winning opportunities. There are 2 of those road Doritos. Gatto gets 1 of these road Doritos, so he can't really use it productively. I guess he can go over here and set up another invasion, but then I'm not sure what the last tile is. Maybe blue. Oh, that's so anticlimactic. Guilherme doesn't get his tile. The chances of him drawing the tile were 2 and 3. So believe it or not, from this difficult position, Guilherme was actually a 67% favorite to win the game. Who would have thought? So it is of course not the easiest spot at all, but I think it turns out that the strongest move for Gatto was to actually go here and block the invasion. Then Guilherme's winning path would be first drawing this tile and going over here and then connecting through a straight line, but it would have been a riskier path because blue could have drawn the crossroads over here. So actually, I mean, red played really well in this endgame, and they had a chance to win. not only had they chance to win, but they were the favorite to win. So this move over here, incredibly sneaky. And even my initial reaction was that there was something off about it, but this invasion setup is really powerful. Yeah, so typically what you want to do when you only have one meeple and when you're behind, then you want to just set up different connection platforms and then see whichever tiles are remaining, and then you can just use whichever of those connection platforms is still live. In this case, with 2 of those guys remaining, going for the 67% chance was a no-brainer. Yeah, and there's really not that much that Gatto could have done about this. Well, there was a little bit actually, so not with this tile, of course, but it would have been an interesting situation if blue were to draw this crossroads. Then blue would have needed to find a move like this, I guess. Dropping a farmer over here. And then this would guarantee him the win, because Glovier would not have been able to draw 2 tiles. So either he would be able to block this invasion, or he would have been able to connect himself. So then blue could have connected like this through the last remaining umbrella. Yeah, but upon drawing of the umbrella, there's really nothing that I see him doing in this position. Fascinating endgame. So we are off to an interesting start and a slight upset as the less experienced player wins. And he does so by playing really, really well. And Glovier, despite all those brilliant field setups, just does not manage to cash on it. So he's 1 game away from losing this match. We'll be able to prolong the fight. And so far the position for red does not look great, because Gatto, with the starting player advantage, now also makes a strong move of meepling a new city cap instead of finishing his old city, being patient here. Blue has the scoreboard lead, control of the field. Red has a decent monastery, but that's about it. Hi, Napamai. A difficult decision here for Gatto. There's no ideal spot for a monastery. If you go for the highest scoring spot on the board, well, then this meeple becomes kind of vulnerable, and then you can quickly lose 2 meeples. Not something that you want to do in an open board, because there is likely going to be a big field fight, but he goes for it anyway. I certainly respect the aggression. These days I probably would not have done it, but me from 2 years ago or a year ago would have just placed here in a heartbeat. Well, I mean, it's not actually that dangerous. It's just my concern here. So let's say even if this square gets partially blocked, like this, then blue can draw a defense and there can still be 2 tiles that fit here. And then he will be getting his meeple back. My main concern is that temporary meeple majority that red will experience, and red will be able to use that majority to just get a stronghold on the field. So it's not about necessarily losing the meeples, although it's a bit about that. It's about the fact that when you finally recover the meeples, the big field, the 30-point field which is now developing, won't have any good attacking platforms. So red now starts a new city and finishes an old one. Also notice how a move earlier, blue went over here to try and pose the biggest threat in Carcassonne, which is to finish a city and drop a farmer, and so red prioritized at all costs going over here, even with a seemingly awkward looking road. Okay, now finally we see the first misstep from Gat79Lux. Using this tile as a farming tile through your opponent's monastery just does not work one bit, and I think Guilherme should be winning this game. This is indeed a very clunky farmer. So first of all, red can just do nothing and maybe block the square, build up his monastery, and so on and so on. Second, there was a so much stronger move available. With this tile, blue could have gotten himself a huge advantage by going over here and basically blocking or severely restricting 2 meeples of red, because there's only one tile, there's only 2 dagger that fit into the square. It would have been quite easy to later continue this block, and then both splitters are out, so this meeple at the top would have been tied to this square as well. Red is now trying to block blue. But wait a second, red is also accidentally maybe a little bit blocking himself. That's actually pretty interesting. So as blue, what do you want to do? I guess you want to go over here and defend your city, just because it's so many points and it's a whole meeple. But he chooses not to do that at his peril, because I think his plan, I'm not sure what his plan is. I think his plan is to go over here and try to block that square. But the problem is that this square is unblockable. It's only possible to do like a 50-50 restriction after this tile has been drawn. So maybe blue is planning to draw a city tile over here and then try and restrict the square towards a 50-50. But it's an ambitious ask. Red, in the meantime, chooses to enter the field through a different route. He's not concerned about this square here. A fantastic tile for Gat79Lux. Not often is that you rejoice seeing the quadruple city tile being pulled out of the deck, but red should be pretty happy about that. He's now also trying to block this square, which makes a lot of sense. And now Gat79Lux with fantastic tile now going to go over here and complete his 50-50 block. So now the starting tile will be absolutely crucial. Either Guilherme gets the starting tile, gets the farmer into the field, and then also probably completes the monastery, or he just loses 2 meeples straight up and then the field. Because also what happens is that blue probably going to go over here and protect that invasion square, maybe even drop 1 more farmer. Although I wonder, it is a little bit too early to do that, but actually the field is so important that you really want to get the stronghold on the field here. And then, if you do that, okay, a road also makes sense. Although, it makes, okay, but then Guilherme, no, I think a farmer makes a little bit more sense. Because Guilherme was going to go over here and drop a farmer himself, just to equalize that guy. Also, he will be making sure to control blue's road with his city. So at least this is the best move that I can currently see for red, and Guilherme finds it. It's not the easiest find, it's a very strong move. Multi-purpose move here. Controls the road, equalizes the farmer, just solves all red's problems except for this guy. So at the very least, red will not be losing the field. And now he has a bit of a buffer on the scoreboard, which should make life a little bit easier for him for the moment. So red now chooses to continue his road instead of obstructing Gat79Lux's road. So the blocking of blue's road would have been my choice, but then I would have just wasted a tile because blue drew a crossroads that would fit in this square regardless. So complete equality on the scoreboard. Guilherme builds up his city, and creates another threat. This city could actually be completed in the future. So the way you build this, you get a triple city tile here, of which there are 5 remaining. You get a Dorito here, of which there are 6 remaining. You get another triple city tile here, of which there are 4 remaining from that point. And then finally, you get yourself a tile that fits into this square. So blue sees through all that and now tries to play against this square as directly as he possibly can. Guilherme tries to break his new city, but Gatto with a piece of umbrella. He will be likely to place it over here. But he might also thinking of placing it over here just so that he can recover that road meeple. Although the problem of placing it over here is you would be helping red city quite a lot, which you really don't want to be doing, because then red with just a couple of tiles could get a meeple back and a 22-point city, not something that our French fans want to be seeing. Instead, he goes very aggressive and he doesn't even place it over here. He just scores 4 points. I certainly can empathize with the greed. So the French player is being much greedier than your average expert. And he now draws one of his 2 remaining daggers. So he's about to complete his city and his monastery. And with that, he'll probably gain a strategic win. So let's see if he finds his next best move that could really... Well, look at this. Guilherme instantly draws the tile that he needs. Well, who would have thought about that? So now red has the majority on the field. Gatto has the lead on the scoreboard. So actually, after all these quick points, maybe his plans are shifting. Maybe he's planning to win this game without the field. Although the field is 21 points and red would be ahead because of the monastery and the city over here. But a fantastic scoring tile for Gatto. Either 5 points over here or simply go over here and pre-finish the road. Probably 5 points are a bit more preferable because 5 points are 5 points are 5 points. On the other hand, this would block this connection platform potentially, maybe not something that we want to be doing. And since Guilherme has a meeple on the road already, he will be incentivized to use road ends over here. So he will need to choose to either finish his road and then leave this 5-point road longer so that blue can grab it later, or maybe grab the 5 points himself, in which case blue can maybe try and obstruct this road over here. Reds, to be honest, I was afraid that he was going to meeple a monastery, which I think would have been way too much. Gatto with a city tile. Probably looking to score 3 points over here. Basically, quick points has been the strategic route for blue. So by the way, before this tile was drawn, I was going to talk about a move which could basically win the game for blue on the spot. Imagine if this tile is not here. It would have been interesting to see if blue would have found the idea of going over here with any road tile and dropping a farmer on the other side, making it so that when Guilherme draws the starting tile, he brings not only his meeple, but also blue's meeple into the field. And so the only possible way to avoid that was for Guilherme to draw this one tile immediately. There was like 1 in 30 chance of that happening. All right, there we go. So the player with the blue meeples is going for aggressive scoring. Doesn't want to take 3 points for the road in order not to expose a city cap for red to grab, but instead start a new city with the intention of finishing it with 3 Doritos or just 2 city caps. Since red has only 1 meeple at the moment, he doesn't want to be invading the city, and this is why he very wisely sacrifices a road end and tries to break blue's city, not allowing him to complete. So this is a absolutely brilliant move and a counterintuitive one. I hate sacrificing points when I'm behind, but here this move accomplishes so much positionally. Well, first of all, it breaks the city. I mean, this guy will not complete his city. It would be really, really annoying for red to lose 10 more points just to a city, and then blue is going to get a meeple back. The second thing, what this does, it covers up an invasion platform, because blue was going to go over here, drop a farmer, then go another city cap over here, drop a farmer, finish the city, and just win the field 3 versus 2 and win the game plus 50 or something. And he's trying to drop a farmer anyway. But now this platform is not that good because it doesn't have an access through above. So Guilherme now tries to block, but immediately a connection tile is drawn, and boy will that make life difficult for the Portuguese player. Blue, thinking whether to go over here. I mean, where else do you go? This is like your dream tile. Note that this was not the only connection tile available. 3 Doritos were still in the deck for this purpose. So this is not as crazy luck as it seems. Although normally you would expect that he would maybe first would need to get that defense tile, that square. First of all, he would need to defend that square and then maybe draw that tile sometimes later, but it's not really anything out of the ordinary. Now, winning the game for red is not impossible, but it's kind of hard. Impatient red. He's trying to go for the big city. That makes sense. But maybe we don't have to be that desperate that yet. I really don't like the idea of releasing red's road end. But I could eat my words. Because he does get a nice tile to continue his city to go over here. Or maybe to block blue's city instead, who knows. But still, I really hate releasing this road end, because what's going to happen is just blue's going to draw a road monastery or something. Or this tile, and then pre-finish his road. And that's really, really not ideal, to be giving back a meeple to your opponent before getting a meeple back yourself. But I guess he really wants to go for that city. Blue also has a city of his own, but we're running short on Doritos, and if red is just lucky enough, he can finish his big city. But believe me or not, I think that finishing that big city was not actually necessary for red to win. The way red wins this is simply by finishing his road or monastery, and then just winning the field. Because these features, even if they're not completed their square lot, he could just leave, these squares empty, block this poor blue guy, maybe add a couple points to his ruin, then break this square in the future. But now he's really going for that city, which also makes sense. But then the city by itself is probably not going to be enough, although it might. And it's actually quite difficult to estimate win probabilities this early in the game with 17 tiles still remaining. But it's something that I would have spent a lot of time as Guilherme just trying to decide strategically, are we going for the field or are we going for a big city? Gato with a great move, trying to pre-finish a city for himself and taking advantage of the fact that there's still 2 triple city tiles available. Although actually now that I think about this, I would have probably left that square empty. No, it's actually pretty nice. Because if blue gets the needed tiles, he's going to score extra for this little piece. And this threat caused Guilherme to sacrifice 3 points, actually 6 points, for blocking. Blue is now probably going to go over here. Oh, instead he goes for this block. And I think this is the moment when 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's still straight lines. There are not many curves in the deck. Like, this is the moment when we YOLO it. We go over here and we just hope that our opponent does not have a blocking or invasion tile. Oh, wait. Or we could just score 10 points. Yeah, what's wrong with 10 points? Yeah, 10 points is better. But if this city weren't here, I think going over here would have been a great move. As we can see, okay, Gat79Lux had a curve, so he would have blocked it. But still, this was a super important tile for red, because now his win condition is what it was before. He can still win with just the field without having to finish the big city. I now anticipate that blue is going to sacrifice these 4 points. He's not going to go for the road. He's just going to go over here and try and block that square, which would not be a complete block because there's this lovely road Dorito plus field Dorito plus cow pattern still available. No, he goes for points now. Does he think he can outrun the big city? Guilherme continues his road. And Gato gets a Dorito tile, and he probably will want to invade that city, or will he? Because if he goes over here, and if his invasion is not successful, then he is without meeples for pretty much the rest of the game, which gives Guilherme a bunch of other win conditions, like he can score some quick points, drop a farmer, connect through the road monastery. Which is also one of the reasons why he didn't finish his road earlier with this road end available over here. Although I think the main reason for not finishing was the fact that this road end would have exposed a field connection platform to what had been his field. So blue tries to invade, red gets himself a meeple back, and he will be now looking to drop farmers left and right. Gato with a giraffe. That's how this tile is typically affectionately called. Just a name that Brazilian players came up with, and it sort of stuck. So the giraffe is used simply in a way that's discarding it. Guilherme probably looking to score some quick points. But actually he's not looking all that bad. I wonder if he can just win by scoring without invading anything. Okay, he's down 12. Let's say even if blue equalizes. Blue has 4 for the road and 4 for the city and 4 here, so that's 12. So let's say 24. But red has 8, so that's down 16. He's going to have 3, so that's down 13. Maybe he's going to pick up the city cap, that's 9. And then he needs to deploy 2 meeples for 9 points, which also makes sense. But instead he goes for much more direct approach. He is trying to finish a city and drop a farmer. And look at blue. Blue is actually not trying to invade. This meeple was simply for the purpose of stopping this guy. Blue is now trying to finish his own city on the left. Red is getting 3 points, but it's super dangerous because he's now about to get blocked over here. Gat79Lux will without question go over here. But what this move has done, it exposed the field connection platform over here. Guilherme renews the threat of going over here. Now, Gat79Lux needs to decide, does he invade the city and share the points, or does he instead prevent Guilherme from finishing a city with a city cap and dropping a farmer? This is where you calculate very carefully. There's still 1 dagger that fits into this square, which Guilherme gets, and now I presume a field invasion is going to occur? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a move that ended up being quite fruitful for the Portuguese player, because it diverted this big tile for all these points. The problem is now, how exactly do you score for the fields? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are no straight lines available, sadly, but there is a crossroads. So we could go over here, drop a farmer, and try connecting through a crossroads. And that would do the trick. But is there anything better than just a 33% chance of winning? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No curves remaining. No monasteries remaining. Maybe somebody in the chat can beat Guilherme to it, but Guilherme has shown how strong he is in endgames. I think he may also be considering this sort of ninja farmer through the outside of a curve. With this type of runouts of tiles, it doesn't work. Not only because there's a crossroads to block, but because there are simply no curves or curvoids. So what are the tiles? So the crossroads. I think we've run out of Doritos and biggies. No straight lines, no curves. Are there some sort of city caps available? No, I don't think so. Well, I guess there's this guy, which is inconsequential, right? So what do we have? We have a crossroads, we have this, and I should be doing this faster. One minute on Glavir's clock. He's really, I think he's counting not only tiles but also points. He can figure out, does he actually need the field in order to win? I think he might, although there's also the option of going over here for 3 points and then trying to meeple a 6-point field, and maybe that would do it for him. Oh wait, maybe there is a curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No curve, no curve. What is the final tile? Why can't I find it? He does indeed go for the 33%er, but Gato with a crossroads going to deny the invasion and deny the Portuguese youngster the victory. Certainly maybe not what the majority expected, that the gold medalist of the Mindsport Olympiad will go down in just 2 games. A Dorito was the final tile. Which actually means, yeah, so Lux would have invaded the city anyway. But no, but you see, the city is just not enough points. The city is around 12, and the field is 24. So of course the field would have been better. So let's see what the score is, and let's see then, was there anything better for the Portuguese player to try? Yeah, it's kind of a bit unfortunate that in the first game, he had 2 and 3 chances of winning, didn't draw it. In the second game, 1 and 3 chances of winning, didn't draw it. So, didn't draw the tile when he was the statistical favorite, didn't draw the tile when he was the statistical underdog. All of this has to hurt. All this has to hurt. Well, actually, maybe it doesn't have to hurt that much. Because you see, no matter what he does, he had 1 in 3 chance of winning. So we know that with the actual runouts of tiles, he would have won literally by doing anything else, like scoring a 3-point road and scoring a 6-point field. But the problem with that approach is that then we would be hoping for a Dorito and exclusively a Dorito. So what would happen if we don't get a Dorito? Then just our opponent invades the city and gets himself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 extra points. And then on his last move, the best that Guilherme can score is 6, which is only 4 more than what he scored. So then he would have lost with even greater point difference. So the choice was either you try and invade, hoping for 1 in 3 chance to draw the crossroads, or you do literally anything else, but then you have to hope that your opponent does not successfully invade over here. So that was the deal. And this move actually makes more aesthetic sense because it's a beautiful invasion. It's unblockable because it threatens the invasion in 2 spots. And also, with the field connection, it would, of course, score more points because it would get 12 extra. So it would get 24 for the field, and it would deny 12-ish for blue, or whatever many points there were. Hi, Glavier. My commiserations, but certainly quite spectacular games. Yeah, about Red's plan. So that's actually very interesting. So this was a very nice idea of, I'm going to borrow from some Scrabble terminology, forking the board. So what this move did, it actually created two different connection platforms, and Gat79Lux was only able to take care of one, only of this one, whilst Red was able to invade over here. But given how close the score was, I wonder if the outrunning route was also a possibility. Maybe, so let's just try and check this out, because this was a crucial decision, either to start a new city or not. And then also, like, when you do start a new city, I guess what you're trying to do normally is that you're trying to finish the city cap first, drop the farmer, and then connect with back-to-back tiles. It's just there were so few remaining tiles in the deck that this was not possible. But let us think about this. Okay, so imagine if instead of this move, and at the time, mind you, Gat79Lux already has not have any meeples available. Maybe Red scores just 3 points over here. Then Red's next tile is the monastery, which maybe just meeple for 7 points. Is that crazy? Then I wonder if our opponent could probably block a little bit. Then we take 3 points here. We take 3 for the roads, 8 for the monastery. Actually, maybe that's doable. Okay, we need to count a little bit. So if our opponent invades at the top, how much can they score? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah, it's actually just 8. It's actually just 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so it's just a 10-point city. It looks so much bigger. So then the difference between 1 and 10. So that's 8, which is pretty much the same as our monastery. So that's a wash. Yeah, and then if we get the final dagger, which we did, and which we absolutely had to get because our opponent was threatening a city, then we just get score extra, and then maybe with our last meeple drop some sort of farmer. Maybe that was doable. Or maybe we can decide later, for example, if our opponent connects, then we can try go all in on the field, maybe draw a Dorito tile and go here, for example, and try to connect through whatever was remaining. If it's a roaded Dorito, we connect through a crossroads maybe. There are also quite many things that our opponents can draw which don't block, such as one of these invasion tiles or this guy. And then maybe we can set up an endgame where we win 2 out of 3 times, something like this. So at least at the time of this move, I kind of felt that maybe a bit of patience was in order just to score and then create the invasion platforms for the future if we have to. But these games can be really, really tough because, like, you see, the toughest games to play are when you are a bit behind. Because if you're behind by a lot, well, then you know what you need to do. You need to risk, you need to go for the field because the field is a lot of points. But behind like 8 points, and there is a field and the 6-point field available on the board, which will give you 6 points. So you will be behind only 2. But then with the same number of meeples, your opponent is always a little bit ahead. And so it's not obvious whether you should try outscoring your opponent or go for the field. Now, if you go for the field, these are more immediate points. Not immediate points, but these are more total points. But then you have to factor in the probability of being successful with the field in the first place. And so those things are extremely complicated. We can see that Red went for the field and it almost worked. Okay, now time to check the chat a little bit. Yeah, okay, makes sense, Guilherme, about outrunning. Although no, this move does seem to be much more to be of a field attacking move rather than outrunning. Well, with another city cap still available, with 2 city caps still available, maybe that's actually doable. Yes, exactly. So the monastery was drawn a bit earlier than Red would have liked. Because ideally we get the city cap first and then the monastery later. But then do we ever get to complain about a road monastery? Because I guess now we know that with this particular tile run, outrunning would have worked. We would have scored 3 points over here. Then a 8-point monastery. And then it doesn't even matter if our opponents invade. Also, by the way, it depends how they invade, because there were still multiple invasion tiles available, these 3 guys, and then for 2 of these tiles they are actually setting up a re-invasion platform. So sometimes they invade, then we drop our last meeple here, we re-invade and make the city even more points. So then the smart move for blue in some positions would actually be not go here in the first place, but instead go here and not invade the big city, but instead just continue his small one. So get fewer points, but not expose any platforms for reinvasion. And would blue have found this? Possibly under time pressure, I'm not sure. So yeah, anyway, an exceptionally interesting game. Just did not work out Guilherme's way, and certainly congratulations for the French player with the tasty screen name for a excitingly and well played games. So what does this mean for our tournament? Scoreboard. Why do I call it scoreboard? No, it's not. It's like a tournament situation, tournament standing, stuff like this. Okay, so Group A. So Gat79 now actually moves into second place. Okay, let's actually have a look at all these week's results. So these are results from last week. What happened else? So Sing and a bunch of numbers defeated... No, that was last week. Oh, so actually they haven't played against Hyder Baby yet. So this will be a battle for the first place in the group, so we don't know what's going to happen then. Now just Guilherme lost, so that's going to be 1-2, and the tiebreaker is going to hurt with 3 games won and 4 games lost. Gat79, on the other hand, now moves way over here. And this means that, let's say if Sing defeats Hydra Baby with a score of 2-1, then Gat79 will be in the first place, tied with someone you know. Because someone you know... No, not tied with someone you know, ahead of someone you know. Because he defeated Krakow of Lithuania 2-1. So he's now at 2 matches won, 1 match lost, 5 games won, 4 games lost, which is 1 more game lost than Gat79. So, in a group with the 2016 World Champion and reigning Carcassonne Champions League champion, reigning Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist, a bunch of players who are high rated, it is the Frenchman who is ahead of everybody. I think actually Krakow of Lithuania also, well, I mean, his peak rating is like in the high 500. Not sure what his current rating is. So yeah, Carcassonne sometimes is like that. All right, so that's the tournament situation. Now about the next matches. You can see that some matches are happening in the weekend. And obviously we're going to stream none of that, because during the weekend there's a much more important event. So tomorrow from 9 a.m. UTC to around 13 UTC. We're going to have ourselves the first qualifier for the playoffs of the Mind Sports Olympiad Grand Prix. I would say the most prestigious online Carcassonne, or at least individual online Carcassonne tournament of the year. Then in the evening at 1900 UTC, we have ourselves the second qualifier. And then on the 27th, we have ourselves the playoff just during the time of this game, which would have been interesting, but it still puzzles me. Why would they schedule that? Are they really assuming that they will not be able to qualify for the finals? For the playoffs, rather? So anyway, this weekend will be devoted to the Mind Sports Olympiad, and it is extremely unlikely that I will be able to cover any of these matches. So just stay tuned for the coverage of the Mind Sports Olympiad if it occurs, and if you're a player yourself, which I'm sure many of you are, make sure to register unless you already have. It's still possible to do for the next 11 hours or so. That's a great attitude, Glovier. Yes, saving the successful field connections for tomorrow. Unless, of course, they are against me. Then I would have no shame drawing 10% wins, 5% wins, you name it. I know that there are some different, let's say, ethics debates, or not, etiquette debate. Yes, that's the correct word, about when it's appropriate to apologize for a lot of luck, for example. I never do that. But I also don't expect my opponent to. Oh, thank you, Wisemaze, for actually confirming that. I didn't... Oh, isn't that interesting? So tomorrow, I looked at... I just assumed that this was during the Mind Sports Olympiad, but this is scheduled for Monday, so we will be covering that match for sure. The only puzzling thing is, why is it scheduled for Monday? Because normally it's not allowed. Like, normally you're supposed to finish all your games within the week. I presume that either because of some sort of emergency, or simply because of the fact that we're having ourselves the Mind Sports Olympiad during this weekend, this arrangement was made. So this will already be during week 4. The last match of round 3. So we'll be covering that. Yes, perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Wisemaze, for spotting that. So this also means that rightfully so tomorrow there are no games. The only match is scheduled between Siegfried and Siegfried Star. Siegfried Star. Yeah, he's playing in the middle of the night, which is his prerogative, but I will not be able to cover that. I will definitely need to get my beauty sleep before the Mind Sports Olympiad at 9 a.m. And then on Sunday, there are several players who've scheduled their match, probably just assuming that they won't be successful in the Mind Sports Olympiad qualifying round, or maybe they're not trying to play the Mind Sports Olympiad in the first place. For example, I know that Rabbit Rain, at least he has not registered, at least he has not registered for now, for the Mind Sports Olympiad, to the probably the relief of everybody in the Carcassonne community, just because this player is in absolute top form at the moment. Well, anyway, so it turns out we will get to see one more round 3 match. But tomorrow it's just the Mind Sports Olympiad. In the morning I'm playing, and then in the evening we will see. Alright, make sure to meeple the like button before you leave. That would help the algorithm and stuff, and subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne, content like this. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.